What's up, guys? Steven. Welcome back to Discover Powersports YouTube channel. Back at it with the 2022, like I said, supporting mods. So we got some more stuff coming. Just gonna do some disassembly today. A couple quick things. We're gonna pull this off, pull the exhaust back, muffler back off. We're really good at that now. And gain some access to some of the piping and some of the tubing, and pull a few other things off. Like I said, a few more surprises we got coming from Evo to start getting this thing ready for a little bit more power. Nothing crazy, but it won't just be your typical RR. We'll have a little bit more. Got to keep up with those pros razors that are coming out. So stay tuned for that. Gonna have a little fun with this puppy. It's got flip here. Taking the cover off. These are T27 Torx, if anyone was wondering. What's up, dude? Got the small hands. I need you to get some hose clamps off. Rubber hoses, throttle body here, injector rail there, and all the goodies. So if you're working on anything motor related, it's pretty easy to just pull the dang muffler and yank that tube out and get to all this stuff. When I blew my intake, Bryce's could change one, I swear, in 5 minutes because he swapped it so often between it and another unit that our buddy had that wasn't on the trip at the time a few years back. So that's going to give us some room. We're going to do some tubing adjustments, I'll say, and we'll come back and show you all that once we get the parts in on Monday, and hopefully maybe midweek get everything in and get this put back together and lie on wait for the next few goodies to get in here. Working down the list with Evo, obviously, to get the ECM sent over, to get a few things done to it. So we've also are going to run a boost gauge, because obviously that's going to change. So I did get a hanger for the side of the cluster and a boost gauge. I did go analog on the boost gauge just because I like the way they look. I just got an inexpensive glow shift. Color changing one, we'll run it red, but went to 30 psi, so we're not going crazy with pressures. Obviously, stock turbo, stock plume. Right down here underneath the steering wheel, really. I'm gonna snag power from this little accessory plug here. It's actually mounted right up in here into this little clip. They actually make little accessory connectors that tap right into this. I'm going to use this to power the boost gauge. So it's a quick run from right there to right here where I'm going to have it on the end there. And that'll look pretty sharp. They've got a plug, which is this guy. Plugs right into that factory little port. You can actually piggyback these for low amperage application, kind of daisy chain them. So I'll plug in there, gauge will hook into these guys, and then we'll have 12-volt power. See if thing lit up. Prepping for the next modification is our high flow intake from Evo. I'm an idiot, and I had already put in that V-flow intake on. You see right in there on the other side of the turbo, that silicone tube. Actually going to take that off, but good news, we'll put it on Bryce's unit because it actually fits a 2021 and down, not a 2022. But we are putting the high flow intake, so the filter is going to be completely relocated up here, and we will be removing the air box. Like I said, I just thought about it more and more, and I'm like, I figure since I'm changing it all, might as well do it all. Yeah, we have the Baldwin and everything in there and all that set up, but that's no big deal. All right, brief intermission. Got some goodies here. Got our gauge pod mount, Razorback. We've got charge tubes, Evo charge tubes. Nice silicone, really tough bands, hold up the heat, hold up the higher boost levels. Pretty good flow, obviously being a little bit slicker, but these are nice. Got them red, want them to be the, close, few accents on the rig. Pretty close color. We've got port. This is for your boost gauge. Pull for your port. And that is going to be for our either a blow-off valve or a recirculation valve, which is what I've got here. So this looks exactly similar to a traditional blow-off valve. However, this is not going to apply that pressure, that extra pressure from the turbo to the atmosphere. It's going to put it back into the intake side of the turbo. So there's going to be a Y that goes into the intake hose for the intake that I'm going to put on this guy, and it will put it back in front of the compressor. So pretty nice setup. Again, I just didn't want to deal with the noise on a trail. They sound awesome, don't get me wrong, I freaking love them. If this was a Nissan freaking Skyline or something, I'd be ripping that puppy and listening to that freaking noise all the time. But it's pretty annoying on a trail. Again, we don't ride dunes all the time, and the dunes, hey, you're freaking wide open, I get it. Or you're freaking drag racing. But these trails, these rocks that we do here, it's just 9,000 times you hear it go off. I hear it go off in my sleep. So I went with this instead, and also to kind of protect it from the elements, because we do go through some deep water every now and then, a lot of creeks here and around the country whenever we go on trips. So pretty sweet setup. So I'm going to start getting some of this stuff put on. Charge tubes on-ish. I would recommend the turbo one. The hot side was easy because it's small, short, easy to get to. This side was easy to do with throttle body because you got all the room, but that puppy right there, you're going to want to boil the end or put a little bit of heat on it. I just had a wet rag and hit it with the torch, but it is tight to get it on there on that particular barb, and you're going to have to seat it all the way. I'm actually going to have to have another pair of hands heat it while I shove it, because it still needs about maybe an eighth to hit that little stopper. I just want it all the way up there, because if you don't get these seated right, these hoses are more susceptible to blowing off under pressure. So I want to get them seated, but other than that, they look good, pretty sharp. Evo logo everywhere here. So now we're gonna make use of these guys and start mocking that up and fitting up the BRV. Gotta heat this guy up a little bit, work it in there, put in the little plug in here, which is going to be a new crimp, and then this guy, and then I can start routing the boost line for the gauge all the way up front, and then really start buttoning these up. Well, that didn't work out too well. Straight up bent this sucker trying to get in there. Fortunately, I had some extra barbs here, but boy, it's tedious putting this together already on. So you might want to mock this up and put it together before you put it on there, because this is a pain. This is not easy. Getting this valve to go into there is dang near impossible to seat it all the way, which is what it calls for. And then getting anything in here, it's actually the same size, actually, and sucker is impossible to get in there. So putting a little steam on it to heat it up a little bit and work it back and forth, but nothing. So you may want to do this off of the unit and just kind of mock it up and look at pictures, but this is turning into a son of a gun here. About time, the next new part angle here. More from Evo. We've got our high flow intake for the Can-Am X3. Replaces the factory air box with some really nice components. There you go. Things see. There's a pre-filter, pre-screen out there. So this is the high flow intake from Evo. Gonna go on my unit 2022. I'm an idiot and ordered the 2021 and down V-Flow, little bellow here from the factory intake air box to the turbo inlet, and we're going to be putting this on Bryce's unit, so we'll still keep that in the family. And then I will have all this on, so we'll have both intake side and then our exhaust side done with a little bit of setup in anticipation of the rest of the stuff we got going on. Our BRV and our other little crankcase line will pop into this cat here. That's our other little airline. That's one of the differences between the 2020 I've noticed, is it has another airline on the outside of the airbox that will come into that guy there, and then we'll get this all set up. Still, we can put the cover back on top, because this filter, I'll show you real quick. This guy is going to go up here now, so it'll be right up there. standing up, still put the cover back on it, and just will not have the air. All right, read the instructions here. Got everything hooked up like it's supposed to be. So you're supposed to crimp all that together to the manifold, going from a smaller reference line to the larger reference line to go on to that little bung on the manifold that adapts there. And then I swapped this to a brass 1/8" fitting for our boost gauge. I didn't want to deal with the plastic fitting, and it was a son of a gun to get one in there. So cheap 1/8" brass off of Amazon. I'm going to put a PEX connection on there, and then we'll start routing that to the front and figure out what we're going to do with our boost gauge. But all in all, pretty good setup I got. Wow. Make sure it's still loud. Yeah. It's still loud. Good to go. Feels a little quicker.
It's loud.
Oh yeah, with the cutout of it.
Yeah. Sure. That's pretty cool. It's selectable though.
It's pretty rowdy. Running 4-wheel drive. But I did those two out.
Yeah.
And
it's putting some speed on heavily.
Sport.
Yeah.
Sport Plus too. You go full soft with the comfort, it's like
Pull the front wheels.
dang near. We'll see after we get the old clutch on it.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's running about 15, 16.
Yeah, which is about right. I'm probably letting, it's pretty soft, so we probably need to tighten the valve back up a little bit. Just leaving pressure off at idle almost.
Right.
Just can't hear it. Just not as loud. Like if you're on the trail, you know, the blow-off valve's always. This is at least, you know, you can barely hear it when you're just.
Yeah, it's pretty muffled.
Idling, and then minor RPM increases.
Right, it does its job whenever you're freaking getting after it.
I mean, we'd watch traction right there.
Do what?
Blew the tires off a lot more.
Yeah. It feels very responsive. Like, it snaps a lot better.
Half turn off of hard. So, hard's clockwise, soften up the spring is counterclockwise. That'll obviously allow the valve to open up and release pressure easier. if it's less firm.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to kind of play with this guy, and we'll see where the sweet spot is. But I had it full. I had it in between soft and hard now, and it was bleeding off a little bit of pressure. Now I'm just a half a turn off of hard all the way, the stiffest setting. So you don't have it springs on this. It's adjustable. So we'll see what that does. Kind of about where I had it yesterday before I blew the hose off. So kind of had to find a sweet spot and make sure that's not part of the problem.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, sounds good.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Got us a freaking Skyline right here. The Supra. Half a Supra.
Half a Supra. Yeah, that's true.
Put all that crap on.
Right.
I want to make a plate. Piece of
Some
rubber,
shield.
plastic rubber. I'm gonna take and put a little shield right here. That way, crap. Obviously, you put the cover back on, but just want to shield that up from snow and stuff.
Yeah,
Probably
snow.
slot some holes in it or make it half as high.
Yeah, water. I mean, that's what I'd be worried about. Splashing through water and it come. I mean, not that it's gonna be a whole lot, but if you get a bunch splash up in there and then down, then you go right into your clutches.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think this guy covers a decent amount, but
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it'll cover everything we need.
All that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's good. See. Pretty much. Yeah, never mind right there.
Yeah,
so I can just come off the side of this. I'll actually put it on the side of this.
Yeah.
And go down.
And then you could even get the vent that goes on the back there.
Yeah, if I wanted to.
And that would rather get air from back there than down below.
Yeah, that's true.
Of course, it'll pull from over on by the side of the intercooler too. Well, that's pretty open. I got pulled mine off like one time. Yeah.
There we go. Almost.
There we go. This side needs to come way forward. There we go. Yeah, if I were me, I'd close that off. Because look, it's open on the other side, and you can see the filter from this intercooler side. So it's all open, so it'll get all the air it needs. And it's the top side of the intercooler, so it's going to be cool air.
The old prairie. Changing the freaking blood out, doing a transfusion here. Bryce and Maverick over here. Taking the bump seat out. Because we're going to put this little guy, V-Flow, Evo V-Flow, intake inlet, turbo inlet. Got that sucker swapped in there and get that bellow out. Pretty sweet, huh? I don't know about that thing.
As it
Bryce is learning the joys of swapping tubing to silicone.
Oh, it's on there. It's not bad.
Yeah. You got a lot of room to work with, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that always happens. Freak out, dude. Yeah. So the crankcase vent is like freaking long, and it's harder to get on once you have it planted.
It's not that it's long, it's the Evo
The tube
where the
port
Yeah, the port is probably
all
2
in the
inches.
way.
Yeah,
It
2
gets
inches
into all
longer.
that. Gets into all that other crap.
So the hose is then
So
too long.
top tip, put that vent on first,
Yeah,
and then you can manipulate everything else outside of that.
right.
Whenever you're ready.